Okay, well, I have been doing cybersecurity for about 23 years now. Actually started my cybersecurity journey back in 1999 when I joined the Air Force. And back then, it was kind of fledgling for the information assurance and cybersecurity realm. Everybody remembers Patch Tuesday. It was pretty much, hey, grab some patches from Microsoft or whatever vendor and just throw them at your system, and nobody really took the time to actually analyze them and do them. And they just trusted the vendor to say, hey, this patch is good. Let's just put it on our system. But then through the years, technology has advanced rapidly, and then businesses, corporations, the military, they've all leveraged that technology to become more efficient, more effective. But with that newer technology comes more exploits, more attack surfaces, more vulnerabilities. And so that's how I kind of fell into the cybersecurity realm. Basically, you could say I kind of found myself by becoming part of my career field. Once the focus started shifting to securing our networks and our systems, then it really became a forefront for the military and my career. My present background is I am a Microsoft Exchange, Active Directory, Citrix, and VMware subject matter expert. I engineer VMware solutions, Citrix solutions, Exchange solutions, administer them, and I have the information assurance and cybersecurity piece tied in with it because they all overlap and they are overarching. They complement one another. You have to have a secure environment to run effectively. I've also learned about the different types of accreditation through the years. Presently working the risk management framework process for accreditation. So the CEH has put me in this realm as well. It's helped me out. At present, I am retired from the military. I did 20 years, 4 months, and I am now a contractor with a company for the military. So I didn't stray too far away from that type of environment. And that is where I started and how things came to be with the cybersecurity realm and how it kind of became part of my everyday job. What really caught my attention was about 5 or 6 years into my IT career in the Air Force, we had a cyber training range that was hooked between several bases. So it was a closed network, it was training, and what they did was they brought in red teams to actually attack, and we would have to defend the network. So they brought that in to show people, hey, these are the exploits, these are what attacks look like, these are how you defend, this is what you're looking for. So when all those training exercises on the ranges were going on, they actually mentioned, hey, this is an actual career track that you can do, certification. And so they started mentioning it, talking about the pen testing and then they showed us the tools and techniques that they used. So that's where I really got my first taste of it and knew that it was out there. And then when I got to my final base, I worked with a guy who was a computer programmer who was really into the pen testing and that cyber attack and defend realm. So him and I started talking about, the different TTPs and all the different ways to exploit and just basically your pen test type stuff. And he was very awesome. He helped me out. I helped him out. And then he mentioned, hey, you should probably get your CEH. So I went and got my CEH, and that is pretty much how I got involved with it and got it. So it actually benefited my career by helping me in my job. I actually got, because I had the certification and we have yearly evaluations, I actually got higher marks on my evaluation than the majority of people because I worked hard and then got the extra stuff needed to, the extra education needed to fill the additional blocks and round myself out. So it's definitely helped me out with in that way. And it did give me a more granular understanding of, some of the tools out there that are available that were covered in the course, and then some that aren't. Like I mentioned, I was, introduced by the pen testers on the closed test range and everything. So they didn't go too far in depth with their tools, but then learning over the course of through the years, I looked at more tools and then started getting a better understanding how they work, what they do, and where you would employ them at, and how you would use those to actually secure your network and look for your holes. And it is definitely way more interesting and exciting than something like a overarching generic type cert or something like a CISSP or a CASP where you're talking, the policy and the framework and everything. This is more hands-on, interactive, and definitely not policy driven like the CISSP and CASP and those sort of certifications would be. So that is how it's benefited my career so far. Well, it's recognized in the DoD as there's a DoD initiative called DoD 8570, a cyber certified workforce. So it is actually one of the multiple levels inside the DoD. So you've got like information assurance manager, information assurance technician, pen test. So it is very recognized and required for whichever track you pick or whichever level you pick. There's multiple inside the DoD. There's multiple different types of avenues or lanes you can go to utilize the CEH. You've got the attack side, the defense side, the cyber protection side. So it can be utilized in any one of those and meet those 8570 requirements that were put out by the DoD. And I do feel that it holds more weight than, like I mentioned, a generic type overall cert. Like, for example, the Security Plus. It's just a general overall, hey, here's a broad stroke, whereas a CEH is more targeted for, a certain type of technology.
Great.
And I only say this because I did 20 years in the military, retired, and then became a government contractor. And so I can't really speak on the corporate side of the world, but I know for the DoD that has been how it. So it actually did help me out quite a bit for pay raise and promotion. So I mentioned the annual evaluations we got. Because I had it, it helped me get higher marks. Like I said, we had quarterly awards like superior performer, stuff like that. And because I completed that field and went that extra step, it also helped me win quarterly awards for my unit and everything. And it really helped out when I went on terminal leave before retirement. I had applied to several companies, and along with my other certs, the CEH made me stand out. So I actually got the job that I applied for and wanted. It literally took 1 week from giving them the resume to getting hired, and it is a great job. And it also helped me renegotiate my salary. I went back to my company and I was like, hey, I've got my bachelor's, I've got these 8 other IT certs, and then I have my CEH. these are not just generic certs, they're actually vendor specific certs. And so I was like, I'd like to renegotiate, and they did, and I actually got the salary that I wanted. I reached my goal that I set for myself 20 years ago when I got into this field. So the way it's impacted me is it has given me, like I mentioned before, a more granular understanding of how things work, how the pen testing side works, how exploits work, how they can, what they do, how they affect the code, or how they affect the ports or the network. It really rounded out my skill set, and it allowed me to get into positions of leadership and project management when it came time to do cybersecurity items, planning, securing the network, securing the servers. It also, when I learned the risk management framework process, there's step 3, which is the SCTM, the security control traceability matrix, with a bunch of IA controls, which are IA families. It allowed me to talk with the validator to say, hey, this is how we're going to answer this. Here's my results from the pen test I did to meet this IA requirement. And so it helped me with that and discussing how we were going to move forward, and it helped get that step of the risk management framework process passed. It did, yes. While I was in the military, I did a youth group, and it was called the Sea Cadets, and it was under the Navy. And basically we took kids that were from 12 to 18, and they had a full curriculum like you would in the military. But then for our area, I started introducing a cyber aspect of it, how it blends into the military side of the house, because it's not just boots on the ground anymore. Now it's fully integrated with satellites and technology and different networks and the cyber attack and defend piece. And that's the piece I started with them was, hey, look, here's this tool set. It's not just black and white now. Now there's network attack, network defense, and then people attack us, people attack them. So I started teaching them, the basic and fundamentals, like this is how these things work. And, this is even in the corporate environment as well, not just on the military side of the house. So that was one way, and they really enjoyed it. And I was pretty happy with it. I no longer do that program anymore, but I started it and it's still there. So it's pretty good. Another way I kind of gave back was from my experience with the pen test world and the red team, blue team, and CPTs was when I got my present job, this guy that was working there started getting interested in the pen testing side of the house. So I started talking to him about it and gave him resources and mentioned different tracks that he could do and different job opportunities that were out there. And so I started kind of guiding him on that path, and he's taken off now and got several certifications and started pursuing that pen test path and moving that direction. So he's working his bachelor's, he's doing the rest of his certs he needs, and then he's probably going to move on to some good, exciting jobs within the attack and defend realm. So those are really probably the two best ways that it's helped me give back to the community. Okay, so the best part of the CH program, like the course I took, was most definitely the hands-on part. I'm more of a hands-on type learner, and I prefer that. Definitely not so much auditory or visual, but if I do it, it sticks with me better. So being able to get in the labs and see the tools and techniques employed and see the outcome and the results was way better than any just lecture and PowerPoint or listening to theory on how it's done. Actually putting it in play and doing it was great. There was a lot of material within those 5 days of the course. It could actually probably be stretched out a couple more days, but if you really focus on it, 5 days it was good. I don't regret taking this course. It's been obviously beneficial to my career and my job. But yeah, I think it was a good choice. Actually, I do. The instructor at the venue I went to was fantastic, and every question I had, he broke it down into simple steps and explained things very, very easy and helped me understand it and helped the entire class understand it. So he actually had a good in-depth knowledge of it, and so that was probably one of the biggest contributors to me really liking the CEH in the course. Also, I do like the fact that EC Council hosts events like Hacker Halted, and because I attended that last year and it was good. So, and it keeps people abreast on some of the changing and emerging cybersecurity type threats and different changes. So if I had something to say, I would be like, thanks for putting out a very good course. It has been very beneficial, and I'm sure it's probably going to benefit more people when they decide that they want to take it.